Indeed, it was the refusal of the chief of Juaben, Nana Adakwa Yadom, to surrender his wife to Nkrumah, which was the immediate cause of the Asante War around the turn of the 17th century. And Juaben played the leading role in that war, and we ended up being the very people who captured Nkrumah and brought his head to Kumasi. It never occurred to me that I would be a chief, even though my mother was a royal, my uncle was a chief at that time. You see, in the account system, we did not operate the system of primogeniture. In other words, the one who will be chief is known, like maybe the British crown, where the first son becomes the automatic heir of the throne. Ours is selective as well as elective. So the elders have the chance of selecting from among a whole gamut of royals to be on the stool.
Some 40 years ago, on the 31st of August in 1971, the quiet and serene town of Asante Juaben, still reeling from the shock of the demise of Nana Yaw Sarpong II, one of the greatest kings ever to ascend the Adakwa Yadom Siriboe stool, exploded into ecstasy, excitement and jubilation, shaking the very foundation of Juaben. The kingmakers had found a successor to Nana Yaw Sarpong II, the late occupant of the great Adakwa Yadom Siriboe stool of the ancient town of Juaben. With face and upper body besmeared with white powder to signify his election, Odishie Yawbuachi, also known as Peter Amponsa, was carried shoulder high and paraded through the streets of Juaben as the community went into ecstasy over the choice of its first university-educated ruler, youthful, handsome and regal in bearing. The 26-year-old Peter Amponsa, a Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology trained engineer, had taken the mantle of his late uncle, Nana Yaw Sarpong II, the first literate Omahini of Juaben. The Omahini-elect was carried to the Esuminemuhine's house, which houses the apatem for his 40 days of confinement and schooling in traditional governance and orientation in kingly bearing. This is where a chief-elect has the privilege of meeting all those who matter in traditional norms for his tutelage. Otuo Siriboe had the rare advantage of the company and support of his biological mother and the incumbent Queen Mother of Juaben. The companionship of his father, Openyin Kwedwe Champong, was a great boon. Openyin Kwedwe Champong was a stool elder, admired for his sagacity, wit and unparalleled knowledge of Akan customary law, usages and folklore. According to Akan, and for that matter, Asante custom, the incumbent Ohima or Queen Mother of the traditional area nominates a chief when a vacancy occurs. Nana Akosua Chama II, 1969 to 1994, the incumbent Juaben Hima, incidentally the biological mother of Odishie Yawbuachi, selected the candidate. The kingmakers, without hesitation, unanimously approved the nomination. On the 13th day of September in 1971, Odishie Yawbuachi, after graduating from the Apatem School of Traditional Norms, Usages and Practices, met the Oman, took the oath of office and assumed the stool name Otuo Siriboe II after his great-uncle Otuo Siriboe I, 1907 to 1933, described by Professor Edubuahin as one of the greatest kings to ascend the Juaben stool. The first hurdle in ascending a paramountcy in Asante Kingdom is the swearing of the oath of loyalty to Otumfuo the Asantehene. On Monday, September 20th, a day before his birthday, Otuo Siriboe was presented to Otumfuo Pokuwari II. The over 2-hour plus ceremony marked the final inauguration of the era of Otuo Siriboe II. Odishie Yaobuachi was born in Juaben on September 21, 1945 to Nana Akosua Domtie of the Royal Ayoko clan of Juaben. His father was Openyin Kwejwe Champong of Eduana clan of Etia near Juaben. At the age of 5, Odishie Yaobuachi was enrolled at the Methodist school under the name Peter Amponsa. In 1958, young Peter Amponsa, then 13, sat and passed the common entrance examination to secondary school. He entered Opokuwari Secondary School in 1959. Odishie Yaobuachi did not abuse the opportunity and won the Best Student Awards in his class on several occasions. He qualified for 6th form, but having spent all his life in Asante, Peter Amponsa opted for Achimota Secondary School. Peter enrolled in the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in 1965. In 1969, Odishie Yaobuachi graduated with a BSc degree in engineering after 4 years of hard work and eventually stepped out of school with confidence into the world of work. The world of work had its own challenges, but young Peter Amponsa was equal to the task. Peter Amponsa's first job was with the Volta Aluminum Company, Valco, at Tema. But barely 2 months after, Peter left Valco with a fellow engineer, Stephen Akwoku. The two took appointment with the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG. Odishie Yaobuachi's schedule placed him under a Swedish engineer, Folk Jonsson, to kickstart Dr. Buzier's rural electrification program. In 1971, the ECG offered Stephen and Peter scholarships to pursue postgraduate studies in the United Kingdom. Stephen left in August and Peter was to follow in the first week of September. But by twist of fate, on the 10th of August, a delegation from Juaben brought the sad news of the death of his uncle, Nana Yaosapon II, to him while discharging his duties in Brekum. The Kingmakers first offered the stool to his elder sibling, Dasibro Tibuating, now Omahini of New Juaben, who declined the offer. The Kingmakers turned to Odishie Yaobuachi. With reluctance and trepidation, he accepted it. On August the 31st in 1971, he was proclaimed Juaben Hini. Juaben is not just one of the Asante towns. The Juaben Stool was one of the 9 founding members of the Asante Union in 1699, together with other Oyoko royal lines comprising the Overlord Otumfo, Kumase, Kokofu, Nsuta, Uncle, Bekwai, and the other non-Oyoko clans of Mampong, Esumeja, Kumewu, and Denyase. Pre-20th century traditional leadership in Asante glorified war and heroism, and Juaben Stool's history is replete with legendary acts of bravado and heroism of its rulers.
Indeed, it was the refusal of the chief of Juaben, Nana Adakwai Yadom, to surrender his wife to Ntim Jakari, which was the immediate cause of the Asante-Denchira War around the turn of the 17th century. And Juaben played the leading role in that war, and we ended up being the very people who captured Ntim Jakari and brought his head to Kumasi. So Juaben has been an integral part of the Asante Union since its foundation. And my ancestors who came after Nana Adakwai Yadom, Nana Osehwidie, Nana Akresi, Nana Kwame Penning, all fought in the Ashanti wars of expansion, which culminated in Ashanti governing or controlling land area which is bigger than the current land south of Ghana.
Today, a chief's achievement is measured in terms of development projects impacted on his people rather than the number of years of occupancy. The journey ahead of the young engineer turned chief was difficult and daunting, not just because of the great stool he occupied, but more so because of the pace those before him had set. Nana Yaosapon II, who he succeeded, had set a great standard. The first literate Omahini of Juaben, by 1947, he had succeeded in lobbying the Methodist Mission to upgrade the Juaben Primary School to a senior school. In 1948, recognizing the importance of female education in national development, Nana Sarpong established Juaben Girls' School. He supported youthful members of the royal family to attend school and also encouraged the citizenry to have an education. He even granted a scholarship to a citizen to study at Mfansipem. The great-uncle, whose name Nana had adopted, has his own legacy. The era of Otuo Siriboe I, 1907 to 1933, led to the development and modernization of Juaben. His legacy includes an imposing palace, a magistrate courthouse, the prison house, the post office, and the planning of Juaben Township. His reign also saw the return home to Old Juaben of many of the Juaben exiles in Achim. Naturally, the people expected greater things from the young university-educated king and the first university graduate to occupy the Adakwa Yiadom and Osei Hwidie Stool. Otuo Siriboe II accepted the challenge. On Holy Saturday in 1972, Nana launched a 5-year development plan for Juaben. This was after consultation with the elders of the town and the Juaben Youth Associations of Kumasi and Accra. Proper planning of the Juaben Township, public places of convenience, improvement in the educational infrastructure, and construction of extra classrooms, construction of street drains, and tarring of the roads, access to potable water, electricity supply, and reconstruction of feeder roads linking Juaben to its villages are some of his accomplishments. During the launch of the 5-year development plan and the fundraising exercise, Nana said he was departing from the imposition of levies on the people. He would rather fund projects from his own resources and accept voluntary contributions. The result was overwhelming. 11,000 cedis was realized from the fundraising. The 5-year development plan was successfully carried out. Several other development plans followed. By dint of hard work, coupled with sagacity, tenacity, and foresight, the achievements of Otuo Siriboe speak for themselves. Juaben now boasts of a circuit court, while Juaben Rural Bank has an international reputation. The health center now hosts medical students from the KNUST Medical School for Clinical Studies, a modern ICT center, some 5 primary and junior high schools, improved water supply with a 5,000-gallon reservoir serves the people of Juaben. And these are among the other developments. One cannot go to Juaben without noticing the famous Nane Chama market containing over 200 stalls and stores. The comfort of his people was of paramount interest to Nana. He therefore extended his developmental efforts to the area of housing. By 1973, the first batch of 20 houses built by the Department of Rural Housing were inaugurated in a part of Juaben called Estate. One bold decision taken by Nana on his ascension to the stool was to become a professional chief. He abandoned the idea of continuing to work with the ECG. He, as a farmer's son, put the experience gained in his teenage years to use.
When I became a chief, the problem or the issue that faced me was either to continue in my job as an electrical engineer and be an absentee chief, or come and settle here. I remember I was only 26 years old and I'd gone on a premature retirement. But I thought that if I, identified with the people by going along their public vocations, by farming, I'll be able to understand them better. I have some forum or platform for communicating with them. Because if they came and they were distraught that the rains had not been coming, if you are not a farmer, this will not cut eyes with you. But then when you start talking about the rains not having come and the corn having tasseled without the rains coming, they see you as part and parcel of them. So I went into farming. I remember when we were young, my mother, who was a queen mother at the time I was at Stool, was a first-time farmer, big-time farmer. And we had to live in his village 3 miles away and commute from there to school every morning. So going back to farm was going back to my roots. And I did enjoy it.
He started with a 40-hectare farm, producing maize and cassava with a labor force of 15 permanent farmhands, and it was a success. This was at a time when many a chief would rather exploit the labor of his people. In 1974, he started intercropping the maize with oil palm trees. By 1976, he had cultivated 200 hectares with 65 farmhands. Nana was not an absentee farmer, and as the adage goes, if the royal does not fight, the slave bolts. He was regular at the farm.
The success of oil palm plantation depends on a good nursery as a regular source of seedlings. Juaben Oil Mills established its oil palm plantation together with a very good nursery to ensure regular supply of seedlings. The nursery supplied all the seedling needs of the plantation. The outgrowers also had their fair share of good seedlings. It came tops among 50 innovative and successful companies in Africa. In 1997, the Juaben Oil Mills Limited was adjudged the best innovative enterprise small-scale division by the United Nations Industrialized Development Organization, UNIDO.
In 1981, he won the Best Large-Scale Oil Palm Farmer Award. By 1980, the production base of Nana's farm had hit 1,400 hectares of fruit-yielding oil palm trees, and this gave birth to the Juaben oil mills we know today. Today, the mill employs youth from the town and its environs. A number of the growers are finding ready markets at the oil mill.
In 2007, Juaben Oil Mills Limited vertically integrated its operations with an addition of crude palm oil refinery, capable of processing 50 tons of palm oil per 24-hour day for the production of highly refined bleached deodorized palm oil, commonly called cooking oil. Today, we find the refined edible oil branded Jomel cooking oil in the market.
A section of the mill also processes shea butter with a capacity to process 50 tons of shea nuts a day, with raw materials coming from all over Ghana.
Palm oil processing creates a lot of waste. The palm husks, the palm shells, the spent branches, and you have to have a means of disposing of these. So I contacted my colleagues, we did a study, and we realized that after doing an energy balance, we could burn these products in the boiler, generate steam, and for the steam to turn the turbine, and the turbine to give us electricity. So we now use our own waste products to burn in the boiler, and we get electricity, and we are able to supply free power to the hospital which are close by and to the pumping station. So it's all maybe engineering in the practical.
The mill is the second major palm oil producer in the country after Lever Brothers.
Animal protein, no doubt, is one important thing which man needs to stay healthy. Unfortunately, Ghana currently relies heavily on imports to sustain her growing population. The nation's local production accounts for less than 30% of national requirements, with over 70% being imported from outside, mainly from the countries north of Ghana or as frozen beef from elsewhere. Anybody going into livestock production in Ghana is therefore welcomed with open arms. The success story of Nana Otuo Siriboe's oil palm plantation and mills did not stop Nana from venturing into the livestock industry. Nana therefore introduced cattle to Asante Juaben, the Guinea and Sahel Savannah zone.
After 4 decades on the Juaben stool, Otuo Siriboe has endeared himself to all and sundry. His good works have been appreciated and replicated by other traditional rulers. He has been a benefactor to many people. And as the saying goes, one good turn deserves another. People from all walks of life therefore trooped to Juaben to show their appreciation by donating various items to Otuo Siriboe. The good work of Nana on the Adakwa Yiadomosehwidie stool called for celebration. The people and chiefs of Juaben therefore organized a grand durbar to round off the 40-year anniversary.
Otuo Ascension and Otuo Siriboe II.
The Vice President, John Dramani Mahama, was the guest of honor. It is at derbers like this that chiefs display the stool regalia they inherited to assure the people that what they inherited has been kept intact, and they have even added to it. Asante is a kingdom of gold. On such occasions, it is important for great chiefs to showcase their states. Otuo Siriboe started adding to the regalia when he commissioned his first 5-year development project in 1975. Even at that time, Nana presented 6 state swords, gold rings, gold sandals, gold breastplates, state umbrellas, esipim chairs, impintin drums, etc. Since then, Nana has been adding to the regalia. Otuo Siriboe II said out of the 40 years Nana has spent on the stool, he has also ruled for 12 years alongside him, and therefore expressed the hope that Otuo Siriboe II will continue to serve him for many more years to come. Otuo Siriboe in his welcome address expressed his profound gratitude for the support of his people and his overlord the Asante Hene, which has brought him this far.
Ascension some Sudan. Before Omumia, that's a who the service. You get one. I'm here. I know it's not Tampa. Before the must be. Yeah, I'm here, sir. Akonya Ascension Ebano. You have a tibia to her. At the Juaben Senior High School. Now also, Oma and Toku. Now, also, I hear my name. Never was Juaben Senior High School. Any year, no. Now, Yama, Oma Bakasem, and the social scientist. Yacho comprehensive history of Juaben. I got before, what we are, the free buy. Now, in here, the night, Assungi, Sanka, my Ghana, Assungenua, Gasulviano, NCP, Assungia, oh, my Ghana, and Sana, oh, Assungia, who did the field, which made Edmund. I come election year, and we moon somewhere at the back. Yes, sir. What my party for? Mama, elections, and then for one car, we say, Ghana, when you go on to jump. Yes, sir, and she, no, David Bia has said, and you're Ghana for. If we have. When the baby they are clear. They are better. The best here. The are more panel. If you're not in the field, you know. That's somewhere. Mama, father, and say, as soon as I'm not three. I make sure, say, oh, can't imagine how someone. Yeah, I bet what am I not? And that's it. Wait here, if you have, if you are prayer, if you are prayer, what you say, this is so, and you want them. Now, I tell you, because I am Fatano, and they're gonna fall. And it here. They are by yourself. 2012, election by a Bacoboko. Yeah, that's all. Yoba, and I don't know. In your house, then never mind. Said your father. But I want to say somebody. Come on,
Ladies and gentlemen, the institution of chieftaincy has come a long way since the era of colonial domination and the policy of indirect rule. Our people are more educated, our people are more enlightened and demand greater accountability from their leaders. It therefore takes a certain kind of personality to be able to provide the kind of leadership that our people are demanding in this day and age. Philosopher kings, well-educated, eloquent, well-traveled, and visionary. That is the new breed of leader our people are demanding today. And that is the new breed of traditional leaders we see springing up all over the country as epitomized by rulers like Nana Otuo Siriboe II. And Siriboe's anniversary brochure chronicles a life of service to his nation and his people. And I wish, on behalf of government, to commend him for that. Aside from the numerous industrial and development projects he has initiated in his own traditional area, perhaps he also has served his people in various capacities on boards, committees, and various government bodies. But he will best be recognized for the prominent role that he played in the Consultative Assembly between 1991 and 1992. The constitution that was produced by that assembly has been one of the best that our country, Ghana, has ever had, and has served us very well over the almost 2 decades of its operation. Nana Ayiko, for your service. While commending you for your service to the people of Juaben and your nation, I wish to use this platform to ask other traditional areas to emulate the peace and progress being enjoyed not only in Juaben but in Ascension as a whole. It is only in an atmosphere of peace that this nation can progress and develop. Unfortunately, this has not been the case in many other parts of the country. For your own sister kingdoms like Dagbon, Nanumba, Boko have all been in turmoil. On behalf of government and the people of Ghana, I wish to salute you and your committee of eminent kings for the role you have played in trying to bring peace to Dagbon. And I stand on behalf of the President and the people of Ghana to urge you and ask you not to grow tired of your efforts in trying to bring peace to Dagbon. We urge you to continue until we achieve total peace in that part of the country. I wish to assure you that government will continue to work and support you in your efforts to bring peace to that kingdom. I also wish on this occasion of the 40th anniversary of Nana Otuo Siriboe II to assure all traditional rulers that government will continue to work with you to advance the peace and progress of this nation. At the same, all of us wish the best for Ghana. We probably only differ in our approaches on how to achieve that best. And so as we enter an election year, let us work together to ensure that we have a safe, successful election which will make Ghana continue to be the pride and the model of democracy here in Africa and in the world at large. On this great occasion, I wish to extend the happiest felicitations of the President and the government to Nana Otuo Siriboe for your 40 long years of service. I pray that you continue to enjoy good health and have the wisdom to continue to lead your people, and that you will enjoy 40 more years or more of service to your people and leadership. I thank you, and God bless Ghana.
In the process of serving, I have received equal service from my people, and